Hey, what's up guys and welcome back. Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're hopefully going to finish up the interior of my 1950 Willys Prerunner project. Alright, so like I said, I think we got a lot of stuff we got to get done. We have a lot of small, kind of like nitpicky things that need to get finished up and cleaned up on this Willys. We got some plasma cutting stuff we got to do, and we got lots and lots and lots of little stuff that's got to get done. But I think at the end of this video, we should have a pretty good feeling for the interior of this truck, and it'll just be some small odds and ends after that that got to be cleaned up and picked up. So to start out, I was originally going to cut a bunch of parts out on the plasma cutter. However, I'm having some sort of power supply or mesa board issue. I'm not really sure what it is right now. So we're gonna temporarily put that on hold and we're gonna spend the day instead focusing on some other parts. And then later tonight, I will research how to repair the mesa board or whatever it is that's going on with it as I kind of figure out what's wrong with that. So last week's video, I made these little rear window seat cutouts. I'm gonna put those installed first. Again, these are gonna go on the back sheet metal of the Willys to kind of give us a nice clean install for where I'm gonna run the seat belts through. After that, we're probably gonna move right into mounting the seats because I think that'll be nice and quick and easy, and then we can run the seat belts and things like that and get kind of that stuff installed. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started, guys. I wanna get some of these parts installed and get them off the shelf. Alright, so we got those little windows done on the rear sheet metal of the truck. Pretty easy. They're not perfect, again, like most things, but it will definitely give us a cleaner edge and a better looking appearance as we pass the seat belts through the sheet metal of the buggy and then onto the rear frame rails of the roll cage. Moving forward, now we're going to do the seats. To mount these seats, I thought about it for a long time, and I'm decided what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a 2x2 angle iron as well. I'm using a lot of 2x2 angle iron in this project, but that's okay. I'm going to use 4 pieces of 2x2 angle iron. I'm going to mount those into the sliders of the seat, and then I'm going to bolt those into a 4-inch tall support that I'm going to build, and then that's how these are going to attach. The support will be permanently welded onto the floor, but it will be able to slide down and off as it needs to in order to hold the seats into place. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and start making this. We'll crush out the passenger side first as kind of like my experiment and see if it works, and then we'll move right along into the driver's side. Alright, so that's what those look like, kind of test fitting in. They fit great, they look great. For the cheap little eBay seats, these things are pretty awesome for what they are. They're not as nice as PRPs or Corbeaus or anything like that, but definitely for the price point, these are pretty nice little seats. You can find them all over eBay for about 200 bucks, not too bad. I'm going to switch the welder back over to MIG, pull the seats out, and I'm going to rip these brackets off, and I'm going to final weld them on the Certiflat table to just make sure that I get a perfectly clean looking weld, and then we'll tack them into place inside the truck. Alright, so as you can see from that, it is starting to shape up pretty quickly here. Now moving forward, I've got to do two big things. I've got to get the pedals installed, and I've got to get the steering wheel and the steering column installed. So I'm going to start doing those next. Let's go ahead and keep moving. Alright, so moving right along, we are moving right into putting the steering wheel into place. I went ahead, as you guys just saw, and I plasma cut a hole into the firewall for the steering column to go through. It's a little bit longer than what I needed, but I bought a very normal kind of size. That's okay, part of it will just stick through the firewall, not too worried about that. I did order a 2-inch rubber grommet that fits a 2 3/8 inch hole, so that will be coming in pretty soon, and that'll clean up that plasma cut circle, because it is kind of hard to get a plasma cut circle to be perfect, and I don't like using hole saws. So I'm just going to put a little grommet in there. It'll help clean it up the whole thing, and it'll fit that steering column really nice and tight and kind of give a nice smooth clean appearance to the firewall of this truck. Especially important to me because the firewall is going to be mostly exposed, since the front of the truck is going to be mostly tube work. To hang the steering column inside the truck, I'm going to go with a super simple method. I just made this little ugly thing here using a 6-inch piece of 1-inch by 1-inch by 1/8 inch angle iron, and then a 2-inch piece of 1 by 1 square tubing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use hose clamps, and essentially I've got the column here. This is going to sit on the back side of the column, and then I'll just hose clamp the column onto that there. Should be nice and simple, I think. Alright, moving right along here, now it's time to get the pedals installed. So for this build, I am using parts from Willwood and from Speedway. So for the accelerator pedal, I'm using just the Speedway Universal Accelerator pedal in a chrome silver finish. These are pretty nice. I mean, again, I'm using pretty simple stuff, but I didn't save all the accelerator stuff from the old truck when I junked it, so I had to buy a new one. I like working with new stuff anyways. It's nice, clean, so it's kind of worth it to me. Those aren't very expensive. Alright, so for hydraulics, we will be utilizing the Willwood system. I used a similar system to this on the Commando, and I loved it. I love the ease of putting the parts together, and it was very good at what it was supposed to do, and it looks great. So for this build, I'm actually choosing to do manual brakes. So the Commando has a hydraulic brake booster that I adapted some Willwood components to, but for the sake of this build, we're going to be doing all manual. I've got the tallest Willwood brake pedal that they sell. This is a 10-to-1 brake ratio. It's kind of tall and big and kind of obnoxious looking, and probably wouldn't fit in a lot of builds, but with the way this one's designed and the amount of legroom I have, this actually fits perfectly. I'm going to be using a dual master cylinder setup for this. These are 3/4 inch bore. I called Willwood and talked to him, and I gave them all the dimensions and specs for the brakes that I'm running, and this is what they recommended for this kind of application. Again, rocking the 10-to-1 pedal, so we'll see how it works. I didn't feel the need to go through and design a hydraulic system for something like this. I know hydraulic brake boosters are super easy to use and they're very dependable, but for this I wanted to go just all manual. It was just a personal preference for this build. Anyways, I think this is going to work out really well and super easy, and so we're going to go and set this up. Shouldn't take too long. We got to put 4 holes in the firewall here to mount all of our brake cylinders and everything to. There's some additional holes at the top here that I might use to kind of sturdy this up a little bit and give it some more support. And then this simply mounts with 2 holes through this one little lever here. I just gotta swing this arm up so that we have a nice lever arm to use for our accelerator pedal. Anyways, let's go ahead and keep moving, guys. Should not take too long to get these knocked out. Alright, so moving up next, it's just a small little piece that I gotta knock out really quick, and that is just this little front cowl thing. So we're just gonna take that. I gotta cut out some like this extra like box filtery stuff that was on the back of it. I'm gonna cut that out with the plasma cutter, and we're just gonna tack weld it into place. Truthfully, that's just for aesthetic purposes, just to kind of cover up this big hole that's in the top cowl of the truck. Anyways, let's go and knock that out real quick. Alright, unfortunately, that's actually it for this weekend. The plasma cutter going down definitely put a damper on how much progress I was able to make this weekend. So I'm going to spend the last little hour or so I have of the weekend. I'm going to try to start troubleshooting that, and then hopefully next week I can come out and I can actually do all these last couple plasma cut parts. The next video is going to cover the front windshield, the rear window glass, and is also going to cover up finishing up the trans tunnel. But otherwise, the interior is actually pretty close to complete now. We got everything else done we could that did not rely on the plasma cutter. Let me go ahead and show you guys what we got done today though. I'm pretty happy with the progress. So you can see here what we got. We got the seats mounted. Those turned out really good. It's a simple little design. Gets them 4 inches off the ground, but it makes them very easily removable. If I do figure out that this is a little too loose or if it doesn't have enough structure to it, I'll come back in and I'll provide some more structure on the underside. But in my initial testing here of yanking it, pulling on it and sliding it back and forth, this seems just fine, so we're probably going to just roll with it like this is. Moving over to the driver's side, we were able to get the steering column and the brake pedal, both the master cylinders and the accelerator pedals all mounted. They look great, and now we'll be able to have those in place so that we can build the rest of the front end around those components as they protrude out, nice and clean and simple. Otherwise, we just did some cleaning up and some tidying up of some small parts. Nothing too crazy, but it had to get done. Wish the plasma cutter was working so that we could knock out the entire interior in this video, but that's okay. We'll move forward and get it in the next one. Alright, but that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, we made a ton of progress. We've definitely gotten a lot farther along than I thought I was going to get on this truck. This truck is definitely happening a lot faster than my Commando did. I don't know if that's just because I'm more experienced. This is my first time building a truck from the ground up or what, but this one's definitely happening pretty quickly, and I'm loving the way it's starting to turn out. But anyways, that's it for today. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and take care.